Good, totally. Yeah, we heard you had a little golf this morning.
Yeah, how about that? Let me see. How about that? Jones, Bethel, Garcia. Gear. Oh, Gear's here. Cecil. Adams here. Let me start by saying good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here today as our summer is drawing to a close. Philadelphians know, because they've heard the stats, that we are seeing one of our lowest rates of homicides and shootings in decades. However, as you will often hear me say, that now is not the time to rest or to crow. Although that data is encouraging in the city of Philadelphia, we won't rest until every resident, every visitor, every stakeholder feels safe in the city of Philadelphia. And that means that we will continue using every tool available to live up to that commitment to public safety that we made in the Parker administration from day one, and that is to ensure that we are using a PIE strategy to address public safety, and that is our prevention, intervention, and enforcement strategy. I do want you to know that if we continue moving along in the direction that we are, we will have, and I know our police commissioner, Kevin Bethel, our public safety director, Adam Gear, in partnership with our state and federal partners, will continue to do everything that we can to make sure that public safety continues to be our number one priority. We could be, Commissioner. We could be, if we keep moving in this direction. We could see the lowest number of homicides and shootings in Philadelphia in over half a century. That's what we could see. Councilmember Jones, that's why for you and Councilmember Harity, Council President Kenyatta Johnson, and all members of council, I want you to know that we are happy today to be signing into law Bill number 241057, which requires the mandatory posting of signage related to the unlawful transfer of a firearm, more commonly known as a straw purchase. Now, Adam, you know, long before Joe Grace was the communications director here, we made our bones the hard way in Harrisburg when he was then the executive director of Ceasefire PA. I was a member of the Philadelphia delegation in the Pennsylvania House, and we worked on this issue for a very long time. For those who are viewing in the public who may not be familiar with this illegal practice called straw purchasing, I want to just quickly describe to you that it is when someone pretends to buy firearms for themselves, but in reality, they purchase the firearms to sell or give to others, typically individuals who are ineligible to make the purchase themselves outright. Yes, straw purchases are illegal under federal law, and this crime is punishable by up to 10 years of prison and a fine up to $250,000. And then we know that penalties were stiffened last year, and now they carry up to a 25-year prison sentence if a gun is used in a terrorism attack or trafficking. So if you're watching, and I've just described it, and you're saying, if it's already illegal, why are signs needed in gun shops to let folks know that it's illegal? Well, what we've learned is that some people may not be aware of the law. I see some cynics sitting out in the audience. It's true. Some people may not be aware of the law. However, Although it could be an intentional practice, it can happen as a result of negligence by a buyer who is uninformed of the law or who is not paying close attention to the transaction that takes place. Any time that a purchaser misrepresents who the weapon is being purchased for or on behalf of, or who it will be transferred to, they are breaking the law. Now, we received some data from a national survey of firearm licensees, and they suggest that there are more than 30,000 attempted straw purchases each year. Now, let me make it just a little plainer. I want to give you some actual examples of straw purchases made in Philadelphia, and then the weapons were later used in crimes. Councilmember Jones and Member Harity, a home invasion robbery by suspects armed with a 9mm Smith & Wesson handgun and a large capacity magazine. This was a semi-automatic handgun that was sold at a gun shop to a straw purchaser on December the 4th in 2019, and it was recovered on January the 7th, 2021. There was a domestic violence incident where an abuser armed with an unlicensed Glock 9mm threatened to kill the mother of his child and terrorized her with gun photos to drive that message home. This semi-automatic handgun was sold to a straw purchaser on August the 14th in 2020, and it was recovered in September 2020. And then there was the homicide connected to a .45 caliber Glock handgun recovered, Commissioner, by Philadelphia police detectives. This gun was sold to a straw purchaser on February the 20th in 2019, and it was recovered as a part of a homicide investigation on February the 26th, 2020. And so these are just a few examples, and there are many. And though straw purchases are illegal, we know that they continue to help fuel gun violence in our city. And so you all constantly hear me talk about, in the city of Philadelphia, we're going to use every tool in the toolbox to make public safety our #1 priority. Councilmember Jones, Member Harity, Member Ahmad, thank you for the legislative tool you have just given us, because we need to do everything that we can to ensure that we address this issue. With that being said, I now want to turn the podium over to Councilmember Jones. You'll then hear from our Police Commissioner Bethel, our City Solicitor Vernay Garcia, and we'll be closed out by our Chief Public Safety Director Adam Geer, in that order.
Sometimes my mayor reminds me of the stern auntie that would be at the family dinner and say, boy, pull your pants up. Did you go to school? Are you doing the right thing? And why did I see you outside smoking the other day? And you take it from her because you know it's meant with love. There's a place about an hour from here called Oaks, PA. President at the time, Darrell Clark, current President Kenyatta Johnson, and I, on our day off, went up to Oaks, PA to go to a gun show. And it reminded me of the scene out of Jaws, when the guy first saw Jaws and said, we're going to need a bigger boat. I've never seen that many firearms in one place in such a vast array of opportunity. But what I took note to, what we took note to, was the unseeming couple walking aisle by aisle. If you've ever been up there, you know how it goes, like grocery shopping. Wow. And you could hear the young lady say to the guy, that one or the other one? Wow. That one? No, the one with silver, right? Because I can't stereotype, but I know he wasn't buying that gun. In addition, what we also observed was other, not just couples, but other people pointing out some people actually FaceTiming in to say, yeah, no, that one. And that's a good price, and this and that and the other. And we're observing this, and we're looking at each other, Jimmy, we were scared. But worse than that, these people were going out into the parking lot and making exchanges. Wow. No, yeah, you wanted this one, that one, that one, the other one. And we looked, and with our jaws dropped, like I said, we need to talk to our mayor about this kind of thing. And so today we're here addressing it. You don't eat an elephant one bite all at once. You eat it at a bite at a time. You take a little off. And a lot of times people are unaware they're committing a crime. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm going to buy him a gun for his birthday or this, that, or no, you cannot do that. And so by putting this clearly in every gun shop, you at least know. Mm-hmm. Ignorance is no defense. And we are going to do it one little piece of legislation at a time, whether it's switches, whether it's fighting straw purchases, whether it's lost and stolen. We are going to continue on the path of making Philadelphia a safer place for our children to live, work, and play. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
So first, I thank the mayor, as always, for her leadership. She began by talking about prevention, intervention, and enforcement, and this so fits into the model that the mayor has set forth for us as our course of work. So I'm just appreciative of her and setting the tone. Obviously, the council members here and those who worked on this project. I was sitting here, I'll never read my remarks, but I sit here and I'm caught by understanding that, I was saying something earlier. I said, all these years and we never had a sign.
Wow. Wow.
And I was sitting over there, I said, all these years, like I kind of assumed it, but think of how basic that is. That we walk around, I see signs across the city that tell me I can't go anywhere. I can't do this, I can't do that. And we see these procedures. Hell, when I go to the doctor's office, they tell me as soon as I walk into Jefferson Hospital, they tell me what I can't do before I get upstairs and what I should do. But we had never had anything on paper to tell individuals that they could not come into and buy guns in this way. And so though it may seem simple,
Right.
but if you're following a procedurally just model, making people aware, just bringing awareness to the topic sets them on a course. We know when we talk about domestic abuse and where individuals are using force against our women and intimidating them and using that and forcing them oftentimes to go into these settings to buy these guns. For the first time, having a sign that puts everybody on notice, hopefully maybe will empower them to recognize that I can't do this, and by the other reasons they said, because I didn't know I couldn't do it either. And so I think, as though it may sound, starting in some basic place, it really is our duty and our charge to make sure that those individuals, we know the criminals are going to do what they do. Right. But one thing we have to think about is that young person, particularly in many cases our women, are sitting and locked up in a cell block and say, well, I wish somebody had just told me I couldn't do that because I didn't know.
Wow.
Right? And so when we look at it from that lens, we know that a large percent of the guns that come into the city are through straw purchases. And any cut in those numbers, any action that we can take to reduce those numbers are going to have an impact across the city of Philadelphia. So I'm just grateful for Mayor talk about an intergovernmental approach.
That's right.
Well, it's all in play here, Madam Mayor. Yes. And this is the start of many things that will happen to make sure that we change the course of people's lives in this city. So thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon. I also want to thank the mayor for highlighting some of the examples, and there are hundreds of them, how straw purchasing is so obvious. Someone coming in to buy 5 guns, the same guns at the same time. And Councilmember Jones, you highlighted the exploitation, right? Often young men or women who are maybe down in their luck, need some money, or maybe they're an abused domestic partner who are being forced to break the law. I stood here 2 years ago. We filed a lawsuit against 3 firearm dealers who had hundreds of crime guns come out of their shop. One of them had their license revoked by the ATF after we filed suit, and we're still litigating against the other 2. And you said it, and I've said it, and we're going to use every tool we can because it works. All of us working together, it works, and we are making a difference. And this is a piece of it, and like you said, it seems simple, right? But it is another piece, another step in the right direction. And so I thank all the partners up here, and we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. Director Gear.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to begin by also thanking our mayor, who we would follow anywhere, especially as it relates to our work, our very important, critical, life-saving work here in making this the safest, right? The safest major city in the country. A goal we can achieve. And it looks like the partnerships, the intergovernmental partnerships we have around us, right? Each and every one of us. I want to acknowledge a few people in particular, but we are all here. We are all moving in the same direction following our mayor. Of course, the Councilmember Jones, we work so closely on so many of these important initiatives, Councilmember Ahmad, the commissioner who has just been an incredible partner to my office in the work we're trying to achieve, the solicitor, of course, and her team, Kristen Bray, who is very instrumental in authoring and helping author this bill, Louis Roseman, also from the Law Department, and then my Deputy of Legislation and Strategy, Joshu, who leads so many of our important initiatives, Joshu Harris. So what are we talking about here today? And what does this look like, right? And we've already hinted at this, but it's folks coming in the gun shops, and it is mostly, this is the number, 8 out of 10, right? 8 out of 10 straw purchases roughly are made by women, often young women, who are walking into the store and procuring, buying these lethal weapons for someone who knows they can't have it, right? Or someone who is disqualified from having it either from an offense or something like that. That's what we're really talking about here. And then those guns are ending up in our streets, in our communities, at crime scenes, being recovered from persons who have engaged in violent behavior on our streets. That's what we're talking about. And as the commissioner pointed it out, this is common sense. We're walking around the city, we see postings warning people, giving notice of legal violations, and it should be no different with a gun. And a lot of times it is, because folks walk in and they don't understand what the ramifications of this purchase could mean. And it is true. A lot of times they are going to end up, when we find them, in custody, incarcerated, spending long sentences because of this action. We must do everything we can as a city. We must go wherever our work takes us, no matter how small it may seem. When put together, they mean a comprehensive strategy that we are taking on as a city. Whether it's the PPD's targeted enforcement pinpoint, in my shop, CCIP, GVI, whether it's our victim advocates on the street helping with trauma, whether it's our reentry specialists who are helping our folks who are formerly incarcerated, or the $30 million that with City Council and our mayor we receive to give out to community groups helping us, whether it's any and all of that and everything in between, we are going to do whatever we can to keep marching forward as a city in doing this important work. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we are going to sign the bill, and then we are going to come back and take questions. Stand right here. Tighten up so everybody's at.
You know those are Parker pants.
Yeah. We just signed the bill. Thank you.
Yeah. Well done, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Well done, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Now the questions. I am happy that Palak is here from our Department of Health. I appreciate seeing you, extremely important. Commerce Director is here, Karen Fegley. Thank you all. Now we want to take any questions you may have. Yes.
I can give you the percentages. I mean, but I can get you the percentages, but we know a large percentage have come through straw purchase. But I can get you those percentages. We can follow up with you. Okay.
Commissioner, good to see you, Commissioner Thompson. Thank you for your presence. Yes.
I'm very confident that there is not a meritful challenge, but if one does come, of course, my office will defend. But we're on very solid legal ground here.
The enforcement, the timing frame. 30, was it 30? We'll have to go back and double check with the bill, but we believe it's either 30 or 60 days, whatever the date certain is that's listed in the legislation. That's the date certain, but it's always encouraging to hear from our chief legal leader in the city of Philadelphia, our city solicitor, Renee Garcia, that, if in fact the law is challenged, that our city solicitor and the city's legal team is prepared to go and defend this legislation on its merits. But I want to go back to something that Police Commissioner Bethel affirmed. There is someone somewhere saying that this seems like a small step, or a small piece in a bigger puzzle. But Public Safety Director Adam Geer and Commissioner Bethel are accurate. Every piece, every tool that we can use is a part of our comprehensive strategy that includes prevention, intervention, and enforcement. And even when it wasn't a popular thing to do, I didn't mind being criticized about it. It's intergovernmental cooperation and planning. It's our police department. It's public safety. It's our state. It's our federal partners. We have been doing that since day one of the Parker administration. And I would argue to you, along with all of the tools from supporting our grassroots community-based organizations, our anti-violence efforts, My Baby, which is the support for our little leagues. I'm an Oak Lane Wildcat for life. That's prevention. When we keep our young people engaged in activities in our neighborhood. So every tool in the toolbox the city of Philadelphia will employ the use of to ensure that this administration is making good on its commitment that Philadelphia's public health and safety will be our #1 priority. Yes. Good question. Any other jurisdictions?
It's okay to be first.
Oh, it's all right to be first? And if we are the first, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Jones and members of council for sending it to us. Commissioner Leonard just, made Philadelphia first in the nation to have a proactive strategy to prevent deed theft in the city of Philadelphia. And if our research stands firmly, we may be the first city in the nation to require a posting. And if there is anyone who will stand to say that education, informing the public about a process that is illegal is not important, you are entitled to your opinion, and I don't want to debate. The only thing I do want to tell you is that we will continue keeping our foot on the gas in the city of Philadelphia, and we're going to do what we need to do within the realm of our prevention, intervention, and enforcement strategy to continue making public health and safety our #1 priority. Yes, sir.
What size does the sign have to be? Good question.
Oh.
10 feet by 10, no.
I was about to say, whoa, that's a big one.
And it won't be that size.
Let's see.
We blew that up for you.
What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we move this up. I don't know if it's an 8.5 by 11, like the size of a piece of paper we would just put in our printer, or if it's an 11 by 17. I think that's what I used to call legal size. The fact that this will be noticeable and it will be posted in the store is disclosure. I'm trying to think of something that where disclosure is. How many of you have ever signed up for a product where you're going to get you buy something and you have 60 days to decide whether or not you want to keep it or not, and if you don't let them know that you don't want it anymore, it's a really small disclaimer at the bottom that tells you that every year at the same time you're going to be charged X amount fee. That's disclosure. This is disclosure for us. This is education for us, and education is a part of our comprehensive strategy, including prevention, intervention, and enforcement. And so thanks to Councilmember Jones and the members of City Council, no longer will you be able to walk into a gun shop in the city of Philadelphia and not say you didn't know that this was illegal, because the city of Philadelphia told you that it was illegal, just like we tell you that you can't park, in front of a fire hydrant or jaywalking signs. You can't. We're letting you know that this is illegal, and education and disclosure is something that I will always be supportive of. So again, this also shows, and let's state this for the record. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's just state this for the record. Councilmember Jones, Councilmember Harity, and Member Nina Ahmad is here. I think what this also shows is a partnership with the legislative branch, the executive branch, the administration, all working together. In order for Councilmember Jones and members of council to get this legislation passed in the City Council of Philadelphia, first things first, you have to make sure that what you're introducing is legal. It's not legal unless you pass the muster of the City of Philadelphia's law department. Not until Commissioner Bethel and the Philadelphia Police Department, they've had a chance to check it. Chief Deputy Mayor Vanessa Garrett Harley, when we're working through any kind of legislative process, particularly with a human services background, the first question she asks is, who are all of the stakeholders who have a role in this process? And have we vetted what we are about to work on with them? And I'm proud, Councilmember Jones and members of council, that we work together in partnership to see this become a reality. And Councilmember Jones, I want to thank you for your leadership. This is your thinking, this is your brainchild, and we want you to know we're grateful for your consistent work in the area of public safety in the city of Philadelphia.
Minimum of 30.5, so minimum at least of 30.5 on the sign.
And there'll be two signs. One will be in the door, and one will be at the register, and it will be in Spanish and in English. Yeah? That's the words of the sign, not the size of the sign.
But to be clear, PPD is actually going to provide the sign.
We're going to provide the signs. That's the wording. There's only 7 guns, we have to go through, so we're going to get this done relatively quickly. I believe it's 7 guns within the city limits. Within city limits, yes.
No, that's a good question, Commissioner, because somebody is going to go to a gun shop in one of our neighboring sister counties, in Buckchester, Delaware, and Montco, and they're going to say, that Commissioner Bethel said that the police department was going to post the information. We can only do that within city limits. Thank you for clarifying that for the record. Final question here. I'm going to let Councilmember Jones answer that question.
One word, no. And the reason no is usually when we offer something, which is common sense, they answer it with one word, no. And so that's why a lot of the lawsuits, lost and stolen, other things, they resist this. And at great risk to your personal treasury, they sue us. And that's why we have a good city solicitor.
That's right.
But I would just close with saying, Councilmember Jones, while there may not have been any, during the legislative process, direct communication with those 7 owners, The city of Philadelphia, the police department, again, will deliver the signs. Our commerce department, Karen Fegley is here. Like, it's not a coincidence that we are talking about signs being posted in a business in the city of Philadelphia, because in no way, shape, or form are we interested in interfering in the rights of Philadelphians who are legally trying to go to a business in our city and legally purchase a firearm. They have every right to. So it's not a coincidence that you see our commerce director here. But I think the examples, and I only gave 3 out of what you heard our city solicitor say, there were hundreds. Examples of actual straw purchases that occurred in the city of Philadelphia, and then those weapons were recovered afterwards in a crime committed in our city. So again, one tool in the toolbox. This is a legislative tool. They are prevention, intervention, enforcement. It's interagency and it's intergovernmental, and nothing about that strategy is going to change here in the city of Philadelphia under the Parker administration. Thank you so very much.